And it is our question tonight. We're also asking you, how do you deal with telemarketers? Do you hang up? Do you speak to them? Do you engage? What do you do? Because now we hear that there must be consent that is sought when it comes to this. So do engage with us on our question, and we will take some of your thoughts a little later on. And moving on to this, as the country marks 30 years since the first democratic elections, the World Movement for Democracy will host an event at the Nelson Mandela Foundation in Houghton, Johannesburg. Some of the speakers that were taking part include 2021 Nobel Peace Prize winner Maria Ressa from the Philippines, renowned activist Dr Mamphela Ramphele, as well as others. SABC News reporter Khayelihle Khumalo has been tracking that story for us and joins us live now. Khaya, there has, of course, a lot that has been said at this particular event. Let's talk about what has come out so far.
Well, that's right, Bonga. Quite a very important event. As you know, that for South Africa, it's about 3 decades of democratic dispensation. Obviously, we've seen the highs and lows, but essentially, to all intents and purposes, a very important debate in terms of the reflections by so many speakers. And of course, the Nobel Peace Laureate as well, Maria Ressa, talking about the importance of civil society, but also saying that this is a tipping point in 2024. But of course, a renowned academic, a political thinker joins us now, Dr. Ramphele, wearing so many caps. Maybe just first and foremost, Doctor, 30 years of democracy. I mean, looking at your contemporaries, I mean, you formed the BC, the Black Consciousness. I mean, so much has happened in South Africa, the myriad of challenges, but still quite a very long road ahead.
Yes, indeed, but we must celebrate where we are. 30 years into democracy, we've got a great constitution. We've got great people. And I believe that the one thing that our political system has missed out on is to focus on what it means to be human. In Africa, we didn't have political parties, and political parties are alien to our political culture, which is essentially a consensus culture, where we sit under a tree, and the Brits used to think that we are lazy, but we were building relationships, we were building trust, we were finding out what is the common and shared goals and values that we can coalesce around. And that is where we need to go back to. Go back to who we are as human beings. We are not black, whites, what have you. We are human. There's only one race in this world, is the human race, and it comes from here. We in South Africa have the opportunity to model to the world what it really means to be part of this rich African heritage. And I have no doubt, given the youthfulness of Africa and its population, and in the case of South Africa, we've got enough going for us. If only we can learn to move out of our little silos of political parties and sit together and figure out what kind of country do we want to bequeath to our children and our grandchildren. For me, are the great-grandchildren.
Doctor, we're right here at the Nelson Mandela Foundation. We know what Nelson Mandela said about South Africa's freedom, the Palestinian freedom, but also we've seen recently others say South Africa's prestige internationally was regained by what we saw, the ICJ making very clear orders to Israel as the situation continues to worsen in Gaza. What did you make of that? Do you think it's one of the milestones in our democracy?
Absolutely. And I wish the world will pay attention to the fact of allowing the state of Israel to assume the mantle of victimhood as part of the Jewish genocide of the Second World War. The lesson for us as South Africa is that we are at our best when we are not victims, when we lead. And I would like to see that leadership that we exercised at the International Court of Justice exercised here. We have enough going for us to be the country with this young, vibrant population that sets the tone of how to have a constitutional democracy with people at the center. They don't say a party is a party because, no, it is not about parties, it is about people. And I believe that 2024 offers us the opportunity to come back home to who we are. People with the Ubuntu values. And then we can give the world, as Stephen Bantu Biko said, a more human heart. Because more than 60 countries are going to be going to the polls in 2024. Can we please set the tone?
And what about South Africa? I mean, others, they're talking about the threats that may come from the foreign forces in light of these events. What should we do to make sure that the results are true reflection of South Africans? Just briefly, Doctor.
Beware of people talking about threats. They want to distract you from criticizing them. There are no threats that are bigger than us. We, the people of South Africa, will take care of the threats.
All right. Dr. Ramphele there, thank you so much. Bongo, of course, talking about a myriad of issues really facing South Africa. As you know, that at the very heart of this is, of course, the world movement for democracy. At the later stage here in South Africa, they will have an assembly really to reflect on some of the backslides that might have been experienced by the countries across the world, especially because, I mean, there's a rise of authoritarianism in so many aspects. But also when it comes to some of the gains that has been made, we've also seen some challenges there. So with that, back to you in studio, Bongiwe.
Thank you very much. That's my colleague there, Khayelihle Khumalo, coming to us live from the Nelson Mandela Foundation in Houghton.